y'all, it's your girl Yasmin. Welcome back to my channel, Love Yasmin XO, where I talk about everything involving lifestyle and entrepreneurship. Bam. You can tell by the title above. Today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks to help you when it comes to getting your first apartment, moving out for your first time alone, all of those things. If you do hear things in the background, like somebody's car alarm going off, we just gonna wait. All right. Like I was saying before the car alarm interrupted, I'm going to talk about tips and tricks. Now, when I was thinking about what to talk about in these videos, I realized that this can turn into videos. There's so much that I can talk about, that I can touch on involving getting your first place. And me being wanting to be extremely transparent, I have no problem sharing budgets with you guys, how much I spent on items in my apartment. I don't feel like my apartment is 100% done where I want to film a full apartment tour video just yet, but I do have empty apartment tour video if you guys want to go check that out. I'll leave the link in the description box below. But back to what I was saying, I was just really thinking like, dang, I can talk about budgets, I can talk about just a lot of different things. So today I'm really going to talk about things that you need to think about before you actually even start looking for an apartment. I feel like as millennials, or even just as people in general, we're really quick to just be like, okay, I want to move out, I'm gonna be looking for an apartment. And it's like, sis, like, dude, like, relax. There's a lot of steps beforehand. And like, I am 23. I moved out on my own at 22. I was already looking at apartments at like 19 when I was still in college. Like, I was visiting apartments. I was doing the absolute most. I wasn't 19. I was like 20, 21. But still, a whole year and a half prior for me even moving out. And there were so many questions I hadn't even answered. And I was visiting apartments. Like, yes, sis, I'll fill out my application. No, listen. So let's just jump right into the video. All right, so number one, I'm looking at my notes, by the way. I wrote everything down so I don't just be rambling. Number one, you need to figure out if you want to live by yourself or with roommates. Like with anything in life, there are pros and cons to both those ideas. For me personally, at first I was like, okay, I'll move with my best friends. And then I was just like, I don't want to mess up a friendship. And some of you guys could think, well, it's your friends, your best friends, you shouldn't mess it up, da, 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 da. And that's true. But for some people, when you involve money and you involve all of those things can get messy. And not saying that would have been the case with me and my friends. I just didn't want to even leave that door open for that to happen. And then also, I really wanted to just live alone. Growing up in a huge family, I have, 9, 10 siblings. I've always lived in a house with at least like 6 people in it. Like, I have a really big family. And so I'm always used to being around a lot of people and being in the mix. It's just a lot going on. And so I realized I wanted to live by myself. And then when I was discussing the possibility with my mom of maybe considering roommates, even if it wasn't people that I was necessarily friends with, but people that I was acquaintances with that I knew, my mom brought up a really good point. And this is something that I'm going to share with you all. She said that, well, okay, if you get a roommate, you still need to make sure that you make enough money that if that person moves out, you can still afford to live there. And that was something that was like, okay then, because a lot of people get roommates to basically save money. You know, they're able to live in a nicer place and they're still able to pay half of the cost. And so it's kind of like a win-win situation. But when you look at it from the point that people switch up, right? Things happen, life happens, people move back. Anything can happen with this other person. And so if they move out and your rent is $1,200 now, like you guys are paying $600 a piece. And if they move out, your rent is $1,200. Are you going to be able to fully take care of all of that money, your rent plus all of the utilities by yourself in the instance that that person moves out? And when I thought about it that way, I was just like, one, I don't want to put my credit, my livelihood, the roof over my head, on the back of someone else. To me, listen, if it's you, that's fine. But to me, the way I looked at it is that If I move out on my own, I am the only one that's responsible. It's just me. Okay. If I don't pay my rent, it's just me. If I move out with someone else, and what happens if I can't afford rent? You know what I'm saying? Then they are mad at me, or vice versa. And so I think it comes into a lot of questions when you're really thinking about moving out on your own. You really need to think about if you want to do it alone or with someone else. And if you want to do it with someone else, please weigh the pros and the cons of doing that. And making sure that regardless, whoever it is, I don't care if it's your sister, your best friend, whoever it is, that you make enough money to cover if they move out. And for some people that sounds stupid, because what's the point of me moving with a roommate if I still need to make sure I make money to cover all the rent by myself? And that is why I chose to live by myself. So really think about that. Number 2, I feel like a lot of times we don't think about our non-negotiables. We don't think about what we want and what we need. So I knew for a fact that I did not want to move anywhere without a washer and dryer. Absolutely, 100%, 1,000%. I don't like laundromats. Our dryer broke when I lived at home and we had to go to the laundromat. And I hated it. I hated it. I don't like the laundromat. Especially the type of person that I am. Like, I randomly decide to do laundry at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday. Like, excuse me, that's just the type of person that I am. Or I'll forget to wash something and I need to hurry up and wash it before, like, that's just who I am. And having experience with the laundromat, I realized I don't want that. I don't want to go to a laundromat. I don't want to have to always go to my parents' house to wash clothes. And I don't want to go to like a community, like, sometimes some apartments will have laundry mats like in the apartment complex. I didn't want none of that. I wanted a washer and dryer inside my apartment. And then it was like, okay, so either when it comes to that, me knowing that I wanted the ability to wash clothes inside my apartment, there's 2 options for that. Some places will actually supply you a washer and dryer inside your unit, or they will allow you, or they will have washer and dryer connections where you can rent or buy your own washer and dryers, right? So my non-negotiable was that I wanted to wash and dry my clothes at home. Then it became, do I want a place that has a washer and dryer included in my unit, or do I want to rent or buy one? So that's what I'm saying with, think about your non-negotiables. Washer and dryer, location, how far is it from your job? How far is it from school? Are utilities included? There's a lot of things that comes into your wants versus your needs, and then also your non-negotiables. And so you need to write all of those things down. You may want granite countertops, and you may want this, that, and the third, or marble, or chandeliers, whatever. But really and truly, when it comes down, and your need, honestly, is not even like your need because you just need a roof over your head. But to me, my needs that I absolutely have to have were my non-negotiables, which was really and truly for me was a washer and dryer, and I didn't want carpet. Those were really, and I wanted a more updated apartment. Those were really my more so needs, non-negotiables. Like, that is what I absolutely wanted. Or that's the things I absolutely like had to have. As far as what was on my wants list, like my extras that I would have loved to have, but if the budget didn't apply with it, it would have been like a clubhouse. I really wanted to move to a place with a clubhouse. Now, if I would have found the perfect apartment and the perfect location with everything I wanted and it didn't have a clubhouse, then I would have still got that apartment. You know what I'm saying? So really write down what you want and what are your non-negotiables, things you are not. It doesn't matter if this is your dream apartment. If it doesn't have this one thing, you're not moving there. And I feel like once you write those things down, it becomes a lot easier to, when you actually start looking for apartments, to not even go visit certain places. Because if it don't have a washer and dryer, why are you wasting your time going, So that's really certain things to think about. Do you want a place that has all utilities included? Do you want a place that has this? Do you want a place that has Wi-Fi included? These are things that you need to figure out and ask yourself. Washer and dryer, modern appliances, smart locks. These are things you need to think about that you want, and then write those down and decide if it's something that is non-negotiable, that you're not going to move there if it doesn't have, or something that if it has everything else on your list, if it doesn't have this, you'll be sad, but you'll make do, you know? Like for instance, I love my apartment. It's really like on the top there for me as far as everything that I wanted, but I don't have a tub. I have a stand-up shower. So I would love to have a bathtub. I would love to be able to soak off the day from time to time. But in reality, when I had a tub, I never really used it that often. Like I used it when I really just wanted to take a soak bath. But for the most part, you take a shower, you go about your business. So when I viewed the apartment and it didn't have a tub, I was like, dang, I would like a tub. But it had everything else that I wanted, including a washer and dryer in the unit. So I was like, well, bet, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it, that's all. And so there we are. So making a list of really what you want and what you will not move into a place without is really important. Next, we are talking about budget. What can you afford? Now, the reason that I put budget after what you want and what you need, because to be honest, your budget can change. And some people are going to be like, no, it can't. If you can only afford $700 rent, that's all you can afford. And that's true. But at the same time, when you put those numbers on paper, it makes you reevaluate your wants and your needs, right? So let's say I live in Dallas, right? So let's say I'm like, listen, I want updated apartment. I want a smart apartment. I want a stand-up shower. I want a separate tub. I want a washer and dryer included. I want a balcony. I want a downtown view. I want this, that, and the third, but my budget is only $800. Sis, it's not gonna work. Like, that's not gonna work. $800, you not gonna get that. Not in Dallas. You're not gonna get that in Dallas. Like, unless some people got the plug around here, and I ain't know when I was looking for an apartment, but you're not gonna get all that in Dallas. No, it's not gonna happen. So your budget, you really need to look at your budget and really compare how much you can afford to what you want and what you need. And if what you want and what you need is you're not going to get there on your budget, then you need to think about timelines, or you need to cut down that list of what you were willing to sacrifice to fit into your budget. Now, when I was budgeting, initially I downloaded an app and I was screenshot a picture of the app because I can't think of the name of it right now. It's called the Every Dollar app, and I'll screenshot what it looks like. And it's a zero-based budget. I think it's somebody famous budget, I don't know. And it's a zero-based budget where basically your objective is to spend every single dollar you earn. So if you know that every single month your total checks equal to $3,000 every single month, that doesn't change. So you'll put in your income as $3,000, and then you will spend all of that money in your budget, allocating money for spending, for bills, for debt, for savings, everything until you get to $3,000. I will gladly insert a picture or screenshot of what one of my past budgets used to look like, because it's not the same anymore. So I have no problem showing y'all what my budgets used to look like. So I did a zero-based budget, and then I also did more research on how much should you pay of your bills into rent and things like that. And so I looked at one budget, and it was like, I don't remember the name of it. I'm so sorry, guys. I suck at those things. But it was saying that 50% of your income should go to your living expenses, right? So when I was working, and I'm going to make a whole separate video about this, but just to give you guys numbers, and I'm going to try and put these numbers on the screen. If I don't, just try and write them down so you can see, you can visualize what I'm saying, but hopefully I can put them on the screen. So for instance, when I first moved into my apartment, I was a marketing coordinator for a technology company here in Texas, right? Entry-level position. My yearly salary was $43,500, right? Per month, after taxes, 401k, everything, whatever, both of my checks, I got paid bi-weekly, equal to $2,926.83, right? So 50% of that, my throat, sorry. 50% of that should go, if you follow that budget, to your living expenses, right? So 50% of that is $1,463. Okay, my rent here is $1,095. And then once you include amenities and the utilities that they offer, so like, well, not even utilities, but amenities, so like valet trash, clubhouse, I have a smart lock, things like that, it comes to about $1,165, okay? So 50% of my income is $1,463. My rent plus my fees that are added are $1,165. That leaves me with $298. So my light bill, $54, my Wi-Fi, $63, my renter's insurance, $19. That leaves me with $162, right? That is how I based out what I could afford. Also, before I moved, I paid off the majority of my debt. I did a lot of things, and I also, I did a lot of other things that overall made my cost of living a lot lower, which I will gladly share in other videos. So that is just to give you some numbers. So if you bring home $2,000 a month, after taxes and everything, that is what you bring home every single month. Then you, in theory, should take $1,000 of that to your living expenses. So I had the $162 left over. To me, that would be grocery money. So that means that from half of my income, I'm able to pay all of my bills, my rent, my add-on amenities, all of my utilities, and my groceries. I have not received a water bill since I lived here, which is why I did not include that. And I don't have a phone bill, and I don't have a cable bill. A phone bill as in like a house phone bill. So that's why I only included a light bill, Wi-Fi, and renter's insurance, because those are the three things that I have, and those affect my cost of living. And then $162 would be my grocery money for the month, I'm sorry. So that's my living expenses, and those equal to 50% of my income. So if you make $2,000 each month, $1,000 is your living income. That does not mean that you should spend $1,000 on rent. That means that you have $1,000 for rent, utilities, amenities, groceries, anything else that you want to include in that. Because when you look at rent, that's not all that you have to pay. And I feel like a lot of people get that misconstrued. They're like, okay, the rent for this apartment is $600. Okay, like, what else is there added? Are you living, are there amenities? Are utilities included? If not, what utilities do you need? Do you have to pay for your water separately, your lights separately, your Wi-Fi? Do you want cable? You know, those things like that. I didn't include like subscriptions in my cost of living because I include that separately in like fun money, spend money, because you don't need subscriptions. My 50% for living expenses was things that I needed in my apartment. And that will be, I'll make a whole separate video about what my budget looked like when I moved in the first couple of months that I lived here, if you guys would like that video. So moving on to my last and final tip. And these are all tips to think about before you even look for an apartment. Before you even look for an apartment, these are things I feel like you should think about and look into. The last one. Now we're getting kind of into looking for an apartment. Should you get a locator or not? Now, I live in Dallas, Texas, and we have locators. I don't know if apartment locators are a thing everywhere else. I do know that we have them in the major cities here in Texas. So the company that I went through here in Texas is called Smart City Apartments. We have a couple other companies, but I know that Smart City has a Smart City Fort Worth, a Smart City Austin, a Smart City Houston, and I think that's it. I could be wrong. And I worked with a girl named Skylar. I think that's her name, I'm pretty sure. But Skylar actually reached out to me a couple months ago after I had been moved in, and she said that she works for a different company now and all that other stuff. but she's still in Texas. She's still in Dallas. I'll leave Skylar's information below because Skylar was lit. But yeah, so when I first started looking for apartments, I was looking at like apartments.com, really just apartments.com. I looked at some other app that I can't think of the name of. And it was fine looking on my own, but it was just a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And so eventually I decided to go for a locator. And I think I actually worked with like 3 different locators. One guy, he just wasn't listening to what I was saying. It wasn't with Smart City. It was a totally different company. He just wasn't listening. I would tell him like my budget, this, that, and the third. He just wasn't listening. Like he would just send me lists of things and I'm like, no. I worked with another lady from a different company and I don't even remember what happened with her. But Skylar from Smart City, that's my girl. Smart City team in general, those are my peeps. I'm not paid or sponsored, by the way. Smart City, if you do see this, you should cut your gold check. I'm just saying. But anyway, why I really enjoyed working with the locator because if you guys don't know, when you actually apply for apartments, like you have to pay fees, they check your credit, there's a lot of things. And so my credit at the time was not great, right? So when I reached out to Smart City and basically like you tell them all your business. I don't know about any other locators, but my locator, I told that girl everything. I told her my credit score, how much I made. I told her like everything so that she can find apartments that I would more than likely get approved from. Because before I actually looked for a locator, I had applied for an apartment, a cheap apartment. Actually, it was like $800 or something. And I didn't get approved because of my credit. And so basically I was out of $50 for no reason, right? And so when I worked with Smart City, she basically, I told her everything. I told her the day I wanted to move in, my time frame, what I wanted as far as a washer and dryer included. I told her everything, my budget, my locations, and she basically told me if it was feasible or not, if I needed to change things around or what I needed to do. So I told her like, this is how much, and I gave her a range, right? So I gave her a range for my budget, like, okay, of course, I would love to live in a nice place for $900, right? But at the max that I will pay is, I think I told her my max was like $1050. And you're like, yes, but you definitely pay more than that. Relax. I'm gonna break it down for you, okay? This is why you need to get a locator if you can. So I think I told her my max was like $1050 or 10 something like that, right? And so she sent me a list of apartments and she basically told me these 5 apartments are the apartments you more likely will get approved from. They're very lenient with credit. They're very flexible with credit, whatever. Also, these apartments are running specials, which is why I say work with locators. Because locators, majority of the time, from what I've seen, they negotiate prices. And they will get you money off of an apartment that'll typically go. So like my apartment now, my studio, I'm locked in at $1095. People moving in now for my same studio pay like $1,200. You understand what I'm saying? So I was able to, it was $1095, and then I had a month free. Plus, since I looked in lease, meaning I went and looked at the apartment and I applied within 72 hours. I applied like the next day, but you apply within 72 hours. I got my holding fee, my security deposit, and another fee applied to that first month's rent, right? So in theory, I was supposed to pay like $6 something to move in. I moved in the middle of the month. I moved in on November 15th. I was supposed to pay like $600 and something rent from November 15th to December 1st. And I ended up paying $163 in total from November 15th to December 1st. That is how much my rent was, $100 and something, because I had all of those fees knocked off. And then I did not pay rent the whole month of December. So even though my rent is $1,165 after everything, if I were to get that money prorated, I would have paid under $1,000 per month. Which is also another reason to work with locators, because sometimes they can negotiate those specials and they will have them prorated. And by prorated, meaning that instead of getting a 1 month free, they will take the total of your month. If your rent, Jesus, if your rent was $1,000, they will take that $1,000 for the month of December. And instead of giving you December free, they will split it up amongst your whole lease term, and they will take that number off. So if they would have took everything off and prorated all those fees for me, my rent per month would be like $900 and something. But my apartment complex doesn't prorate. I just have to take the month free, which is fine. So yes, get it located, basically. So that is the end of this video. I feel like it went way longer than intended, but I really hope that you guys learned a lot and have a lot of things to think about and discuss before you even start looking for an apartment. I want you to be as thorough as possible, because apartments are really and truly a huge first step, but they're an amazing first step. And you want to make sure that even though if you're on a rush timeline, that you're still making the best choices that you possibly can. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please leave all questions, comments, concerns below, or you can follow me on all social medias, Love Yasmin XO, and tweet or DM those questions and comments or concerns to me there. Or you can send me an email at yasming@gmail.com. and I will respond. Also, check out my t-shirt, Social Distancing Expert. We are in the middle of a pandemic right now, so you want to make sure that you are social distancing and you are the expert at that, because you are saving lives. If you want this t-shirt, it is on my website, www.shop90love.com. Go ahead, get that. I think I only have 2 shirts left. But if you want this shirt, or you see anything else on the website and you really want it, but I don't have it in stock, or I don't have it in your size, please hit the email me when available button. That way I know to restock it. You dig? You dig? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope y'all enjoyed. Share, tell a friend, and them. I'll talk to y'all later. Be blessed, never stressed. All right, y'all.